Well, thank you for staying with us on the program. I'm joined by two respected academics to begin the discussion this morning on TMI. Incidentally, we hope to be joined right in the middle by a legal practitioner, Matthias Obayiwana. Let me start from my immediate left, former lecturer of mine. I should say that with some pride, especially during this Yuletide. And then, of course, lecturer at the University of Benin, Department of International Studies and Diplomacy, Felix Osareme. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
And Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you too and to everybody out there.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Next to him is a very dedicated, if you like, a unionist, senior lecturer, a professor, immediate past chairman of Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Benin chapter, Professor Julius CSL. It's also a pleasure to have you on the program.
Merry Xmas and good morning to viewers. I say Merry Xmas to also viewers.
I thought you were going to reach into your breast pocket and whip out the brown envelope or something.
Definitely.
That's on a lighter note. It's good to have you gentlemen on the program this morning. Yeah. Nigeria has come a long way. I mean, democracy 20 years down the line. Yeah. A lot of persons say all may not be rosy, but we have cause to celebrate and look forward to the future with some optimism. Whatever that means. They say one man's meat is another man's poison. We've heard people say things like, we could have done way better than we have accomplished already right now. But be that as it may, are we not supposed to be able to put a finger on certain things that we have accomplished as a country at this point? Prof, let me begin with you.
Quite frankly, that is why I was surprised at your introduction that we have marched forward. But for me,
we're marching at all.
Exactly, because the indices are not there, quite frankly, to show that, yes, we are moving forward. Because when I came into this city, of course, I had not less than 18 hours electricity in a day. And then the roads were better, you know. In fact, relationships were even better. What I mean by that is that somebody said a few days ago that the worst sickness now is not malaria, but it's lack of love among citizens. And so if you look at some of these,
and you cannot buy pills over the counter for that.
No, you know, it is what is thrown up in the air that generates that. Of course, there's anger everywhere. There's pain, there's squalor, there's penury, there's poverty everywhere. So what do you expect? And so people are angry everywhere. So if I look at many of them, and then have there be, since I came into the city, estates developed by government. You know, I'm talking about shelter now. Okay, in the past, you open your tap in your neighborhood and treated water flows out and you can drink. Do we have public taps now and all that? And these were things we used to have. So when we now say that there's an improvement by or dividends of democracy, and I'm not saying them. The indices are not there. You understand? If you narrow down to even the university, are students attending to lectures and all that? Is the interest in education still even there? When everybody is now looking for ways.
Are lecturers even more, any more interested in education than the students?
How can you be interested when government will force you to do things you are not supposed to? Somebody tells you, okay, take a dagger and then stab yourself. Will you be happy? Will you be interested in delivering your best? So there, the productivity job is also low. So what are the indices? So I don't think we have started at all.
Okay, let me talk to your fellow academic here, sir. You look at the country today, a lot of persons would rather argue that it's been one challenge after another. Nigeria is troubled on every side, as they say. They feel these problems have stacked up long and hard enough that it probably overwhelms government on all levels. Isn't that a reality we're dealing with?
I want to take off from here. You are trying to be patronizing to government. Let's not run away from this reality. Now, what is the essential function of government? That's the kind of question you are asking me to answer now.
Okay.
And if I take it from that perspective, I will tell you that government has the cardinal responsibility of provision of security of lives and property and charting the course of development. So government acts as the beacon, the arrowhead. It is the arm of the institution of directing their affairs. So it means, therefore, that if government is inept or the government is not meeting up to expectation, that society will hardly move forward. So let's take it back to the issue of the day.
Okay.
Are we expecting too much from our government? The answer point blank is no. In fact, our government is living off the people. That is why people scramble to go into government, because they see it as an end unto itself, not a means to an end. If it was the means to an end, then it would have been service delivery. But right now, it's an end unto itself, because those who go to government now become super rich, stupendously wealthy at the expense of the majority, whom they're supposed to serve. In fact, it is now the reverse, where those who are supposed to be served are now serving those who are supposed to serve them. That is why, if you go into government, you do Thanksgiving immediately, because your life has changed forever. You cannot amass wealth to the point where generations after you, 3-4 generations after you, they don't need to do anything, because you would have stashed enough for them. And this is the aspect of corruption that drives underdevelopment in our country. Because people go into public service with one intention, to amass at the expense of the majority. If you see any person that is in government house, those who are in top level of administration in this country, they don't pay for anything. They get their salaries, they get their allowances, which are actually very, very, let me use the word grotesque, compared to the general payment plan of every other worker in the country. They still get things given to them free. They don't buy vehicles with their money. They don't pay for the houses they live in. They have 24-hour power supply, whether from generating sets, from solar systems that they buy with public fund, or from direct public service, the one with the epileptic power supply system that we operate on a general level. Then, they have free health care provided for them. They have free opportunity to get other perks. And in all of this, they are not doing well. If you take it back to the Greek society, where you created three-class society, the guardians, the philosopher kings, and the workers, that was the expectation that the philosopher kings, the people that think for the society, they don't have to go into hard labor. They are supposed to be provided the necessary comfort to allow them reflect at a higher level. That was the reason why they were excluded from certain opportunities, certain responsibilities, and given certain supports. But in Nigeria today, particularly in Nigeria, not even Africa is having the same malaise, but Nigeria is a classic case. You now find that the people that are supposed to lead, they are given all the expectations. Free housing, they have drivers, they have everything, and they cannot think very well for us. In fact, they collect everything, and let us actually evaluate their performance vis-a-vis what they get, and you see that our country is nosediving continuously. It's not really getting better. We pretend because we see, okay, you put on your phone, you can still make a call, even though most of the time your calls are dropped. You put on your television, you see your image, even though most of the time the image is not very clear. You pay for DSTV, most of the time, half of the time, the DSTV is glitchy. You are paying for all these things. You pay for electricity, you are buying darkness actually because you don't see the light. Meanwhile, they bring bill for you every month. You have to buy fuel. In fact, every Nigerian has almost become a government author himself. How? You buy your land, you build your house, you fence your compound, that's for security. You provide your own borehole for water supply. You buy your own generator for power generation. Then you have to pay in your community again for civil defense or whatever they will now construct it to become. At the end of the day, what does the government now do for you? The government comes to collect tax from you. The government will tell you to pay for even your land. The government will tell you to pay for developing your property. And for those of us that are working in public sector, before we say our salary, they've taken their own share, the tax. So we should need to ask our government. I have taught a course called Political Thought in the University of Benin, and I told my students then that when you see the governor tired, people are clapping for him. You shouldn't clap for the governor. You should ask him, tar more roads, because that is his job. If a student claps for me for lecturing, I don't take it as an accolade. I'll tell them, no, I'm doing my job. When you tell me thank you for teaching, where I say, no, this is what I signed to do. So we have a very wide gap between expectation and delivery. The government continues to complain that they cannot carry. Why do they carry all the amount of money they carry? They should leave the money and not do the job. So that we should base it on performance rating. Because if you work maybe in the banking sector, right, they'll tell you that if you don't meet target, you will lose your job. Let us take a position that they will lose their job if they don't meet target, whether they will not sit up.
Okay. I think we need to find a framework to set those targets for those in office, especially those who are who've been elected into offices. But let me come back to Professor Iyesele now. there's the people elements in this conversation we're having, because every time it appears to be as though there is a tilt in the direction of government. We always want to talk about government. Yes, of course, he made a point when he talked about how the government is supposed to provide leadership, provide direction towards development. But the people also have to take responsibility for holding government to account.
Yes.
Are we doing that enough?
At all. We've lost that spirit of protest. In fact, Nigerians are no more, you know, alive to their responsibilities, in fact, in holding government accountable to what we are facing. If you remember, it took just a little boy that pushes the wheelbarrow to trigger off the Arab Spring. But here, you know, in fact, I went somewhere and were to buy PMS, and we're protesting the price, the pump price we saw. And while we're talking, somebody yelled from the behind. He said, please kindly move. If you are not prepared to buy, let us buy and go get away. The expectation is that he would have joined us to protest against that unnecessary hike in price, because there was no reason. If not just for that the man is a cheat. So here, even in the university, you have heard that we gave directive, don't do this, but some of our colleagues say no, we cannot, we can't face it. In the family, only myself work and all that. My wife is not a worker and all that, so I cannot stand it.
But he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches.
Exactly. But you know, there were people like Mama Teresa. There have been people like Martin Luther King, people who stood against, you know, very pungent administration and all that, to help to deliver the people. We must get people like that. One man, you used to have Awojobi in this country. You had Gani Fawayemi. There were the likes of Fela Anikulapo Kuti. You know, even there was one Oba of Owo. These were people, you know, highly placed persons, but yet they were, you know, very resistant to bad government policies. Do we still have those kind of people today? And so, number one is that poverty had, you know, taken that virtue away from Nigeria. And now, the value system is only through cash. Nobody thinks of any other thing, no name anymore. And so, and there's a wise saying that says, where the carcass is, that's where you see the ego. And so, the big politician who goes around with big wallet and all that is where you find young men aggregating around them and even asking God to take away the disease that will kill that man to them. You understand? And so this is what we are seeing here. The people are so hungry now that they cannot protest anymore, both physically, spiritually, or even mentally. You understand? They no more can protest.
Yeah.
So,
I'll tell you why I asked that question, because
yes.
Coming back to Felix now,
Yeah.
you realize that just a matter of days ago, on the eve of Christmas, Shore and of course the former NSA, Dasuki, yes, were ordered released, and the order was carried out almost immediately. Some persons have looked at this issue to say, look, we know, yes, international community waded into this matter, but then the people were consistent. By the people now, I mean Nigerians, were consistent in speaking truth to power about these issues. And they see that as a pointer to good things to come, whatever that means. What are your sentiments?
Let's not be deceived by sleight of hand. You know, if you, those days, when we were sent to markets, you see some people, they'll say, they'll put cards on the table, they'll shuffle the cards. Okay. They'll say, you will see the card, maybe the ace of spades. But by the time you now pick the card, you are seeing the diamond. You'll be wondering, how? It's slit.
Okay, we're going to talk about that hand. Please hold that hand up. We need to talk about that slit of hand. But in the meantime, we need to include a third guest on the program. Stay with me.
TMI, every opinion counts.
We do appreciate you staying with us on TMI this very promising Thursday. We're joined by third guest now, Matthias Sobayuana, legal practitioner. We appreciate you coming on the program.
Thank you.
And compliments of the season to you. I'm going to allow you wade into this discussion in a bit. In the meantime, you were talking about slow of hands a while ago, so let's make more use of that hand.
Okay, so the situation is this. Let's take the case of Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired, who has been in incarceration for more than, how many years? Close to 4 years now.
Yeah, they're about 4 years.
They're about 4 years, okay. Yeah. So it took the intervention of the American government now for them, the Nigerian government, to realize that it was necessary to release him, because there have been a series of court orders to that effect. And the Attorney General of the Federation keeps saying it is a matter that is before the court, they will act on it. They didn't act on it. Okay, right. That of Omele Sowore is a bit recent. There were court orders. In fact, the last one was the international disgrace that we earned for ourselves when they attempted to arrest him within the court premises, while the judge was still sitting. And these are issues that we are going to ask ourselves. If the government suddenly woke up now to realize that they should set Sowore free, even though he has case to still respond to, it is right to accept that our government does not operate by the principles of the rule of law. An accused person is deemed innocent until his guilt has been proved by a court of law. That's simple things you learn in government class in secondary school. Our government doesn't know that. But if our government knows that, the minute the court has said, set this man free, is on bail, he will present himself, meet bail conditions, and continue to treat his case. We would not have been having this argument. The federal government argued in the case of Sambo Dasuki that because of the issue of national security, that fundamental human rights can be set aside. That is wrong. It's only this part of the world you start hearing such things. These are issues that if you say it in developed world, the government will fall the next day. Public opinion will rise. People do not need to be told, because they've been taught from childhood that your right is not even given to you by government. It is right that is given to you as a human being. That's why we call it fundamental human rights. It is duty of the government to guarantee these rights, to protect them in case of, in Nigeria, it is the government that infringe on fundamental rights. So the government on its own, to play to the gallery, will organize protesters to protest that people should be kept in detention. Where is that one reasonable? The government will now organize people to go and campaign against those who are fighting for their best interests.
But again, isn't that an allegation we can't prove, really?
We don't need to argue it. After all, it's happened in Abuja. People were protesting that Sowore should not be released. I'm not the one that went to Abuja.
We cannot put paid to it that it was government who funded or organized that protest.
Please, we do not have to argue certain things beyond certain points. If the government had no hand in it, the government would have clamped down on those people the way they clamped down on those who were protesting for Sowore. Why did they always leave the other side? So it is clear, therefore, that if the owl screeches at night, a child dies the next day, you shouldn't look for the cause of the death of that child too far. The government should have also arrested those people the way they were arresting those who were protesting for Sowore, the way they were tear gassing those ones, the way they were using batons and rubber bullets on those that protested for Sowore. Why do you not leave the other side? So it is clear, therefore, that you are favoring one side. And after all, is it the duty of government to be favoring one side? Let us not encourage this consciousness. Our government is a government that does not listen. They will tell you point blank, you can have your say, we will have our way. That's how they reason in government. And people that are in government that do not insist on fundamental human rights being upheld, when they leave government, when they are now in distress, they will cry for the same situation to be given to them. And people will now, of course, they will become a reminder that when you were in office, did you uphold these same principles? Malami is going to answer that question to himself in a very short way. He's not going to remain Attorney General forever. But at least as Attorney General and the chief law officer of the government, he should know, even if the government, people, the apparatchiks in government will always want to do things to favor the administration. But it is he that should have been the conscience to tell them, these are the rules, these are the principles of law, these things are not acceptable. But you hear of injunctions being disregarded with impunity, and he will tell you the one that they will obey, the one they will choose not to obey. Meanwhile, the government is a legal construction. It's an instrument of law that brought the government into existence. So if the government now disobeys the law because it feels that certain interests are being threatened, the government therefore becomes a problem to the society.
Okay, I want us to talk a little more about law. Incidentally, we have one lawyer in our midst this morning. Matthias, let's talk about rule of law in particular. That has been a big conversation this year, more than ever before, especially on account of the Sowore case. Then Dasuki has been a long drawn-out conversation as well about rule of law, how that governments whether it finds it convenient or not, must subject every form of reasoning and calculation to rule of law. But lawyers like yourself have always expressed worry over a statement credited to the President, Muhammadu Buhari, saying that the rule of law has to be suspended at some point in the interest of national security, which, of course, he made an allusion to just a while ago. Going forward, do you share in the sentiment that the order for Sambo Dasuki and Omoyele Sowore to be released is a pointer to better approach to matters of law in 2020 and beyond?
Well, if by whatever intervention, whether it's divine, or standard, international, that has made government realize too lately the need to obey the rule of law, to release Dasuki and Sowore, which they ought to have done long time ago after they coming down, without any delay. You know, one would say that it is the right step in the right direction. I will realize suddenly that what I'm doing is wrong. I want to hope that in the upcoming year we will not have such national disgrace and embarrassment. There is no way national security can be above the rule of law. It is the rule of law that drives national security, the rule of law that drives government, the rule of law that created government, you know, in place. Now to say that, yes, there are instances under the Constitution where the fundamental human rights may be suspended, the right of freedom of movement, you know, and a few other rights can be suspended in the interest of, serious threats to the security of the nation.
Where it is established that there is serious threats.
To be very obvious. For example, now you're talking about people going on rampage, destroying properties and all of that, maybe tribal war communities fighting themselves and the rest. The government can place a ban or restriction to movement. Freedom of movement is the fundamental human rights. So they can call for a curfew to say between these hours and those hours, we don't want to see anybody outside for the interest of our people, to ensure that more lives are not lost and all of that. So you could suspend the fundamental human right in that circumstances, and there are provisions made in the Constitution that allows the government to issue a proclamation to suspend those rights at that time in the interest of the national security, the national interest of Nigeria. After all, security and welfare of the people are the primary purpose of governance. So if you are out there for the general welfare and security of our people, that is when the totality of the law can be brought into play to ensure that people are being secured. But in the case of Dasuki and Sowore, I do not see where their call, for example, for Sowore calls for a revolution, which I've always canvassed that revolution is talking about was a peaceful revolution. A revolution means change. You are asking for a change. Because the change that we find ourselves today, the government came into being by change. In fact, the slogan for the election that brought in President Muhammadu Buhari is on change. The change master that there should be change. We want to have a change from the old regime to the present one to ensure that things are done differently. That is a revolution. Yes, the entire Nigerians embrace the change. And here we are. Those promises that we package in that change slogan, that we need to convince Nigerians to vote for them, we are no longer saying it. And that's when somebody else comes up, some other people say, look, no, this is not what you promised us. This is the kind of change that you called for. We want to change this change. Changing the change by a revolution was told by violent means. I do not see it, like I see insist. The government have not shown to Nigerians where Sowore stockpile weapons that you want to use to change the government.
I think that's one of the points at which there's a small, there's some level of controversy, because a lot of persons will say you have to watch the full length of the video where he talked about revolution and so on and so forth. But there's a follow-up question I must ask you before we move on to talk about matters of education, beginning with Professor Iyasele here. I spoke with a very articulate lawyer, and he told me that the office of the attorney, he says the law empowers the Attorney General big time. In fact, he said the Attorney General has not even made utmost of his office. But just recently, a lot of persons have said that we need to sever the office of the AGF from that of the Minister of Justice. That's still in the works right now. Is it a welcome development based on your assessment?
Yes, I agree. I agree because the chief law officer, even though the security officer is the president, the chief law officer is the Attorney General, who insists that things are done properly according to law. Where the government will go against, making moves against the law, issue policies against the law, it is the AG that should come and say, look, Mr. President, you cannot do this.
But he says at the pleasure of the president, doesn't he?
That is why they must severe it. Because you have become an appointee of the president who directs you on what to do. As lawyers, but our clients should not direct us on what to do. We should direct the clients on what to do in the interest of the law, looking at what the law says. So my client cannot tell me, to support him or encourage him or create some any legal instrument or jargon to get him to do what is wrong. If I advise you on what to do according to law and you go against it, I have every right under the professional conduct to remove myself from that decision. I cannot continue like this. I've advised you to do X, Y, Z. You are doing ABC, which is against the law. I cannot be an instrument that will work injustice on others or to work against the law. If you refuse to follow my advice, I hereby refuse to continue to act for you as a counsel.
So you're saying it's a welcome development?
It's a welcome development, so they should divert that office where the Attorney General and Minister of Justice cannot become one in one office in such a way that the president now dictates what happens. For him, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. What he's doing is against the rule of law, because for him to be sitting there as Attorney General, the law court has issued orders. You ought to have ensured that those orders are obeyed, and you pretend that you do not know. So is it now you suddenly come to the alert because the national committee has come to say, look, this thing cannot continue. The human rights situation in Nigeria has reduced that status of this country to one that's against democracy, because if you are practicing democracy, fundamental human rights is one of the hallmark. So you cannot be practicing democracy and then you are abusing the rights of others. So we cannot continue in this way. They are condemning randomly all over the world, and they begin to see the embarrassment they're receiving from it. Oh, even President Trump of America is also talking hard. Senators are talking hard to say this is doing is wrong. It is not irrelevant. But right now, let me have the files. So Ore cannot go. Dasuki cannot go. Where were you all this while? When the president who made a statement that the rule of law should be subject to national security, where was the Attorney General? So if you can't play politics, don't play politics with the lives of Nigerians. That's why I say it's a welcome development. If you say it is suddenly now you have realized to do the right thing, and we hope that in the upcoming year you continue to do the right thing. Whenever the law court makes an order, you should ensure that that order is obeyed without any delay.
So essentially, the point being made is better late than never.
It is better late than never.
Okay,
nothing will clean the nose of a dog. Nothing.
Okay, before we get a dog into the show, sir, let's just go ahead and switch topics here. We want to look at education now. Professor ESLA, I want to begin with you again.
Yeah.
Just a matter of a week ago, the Speaker of House of Representatives talked about how that, from his personal assessment, Nigerian universities are less than equipped to provide the needed capacity to develop Nigeria as a country, as an economy. Of course, as they say, you have been there, done that. What's your assessment along that line? What bothers you about the state of our university education?
Before I say so, but then somebody is looking for something is holding. You are crying misplaced or stolen, and but then you have is with you and all that. Buck passing, I must be seen to be walking, and so let's keep them talking. That is what we are seeing here. Of course, the essence of, for instance, the University Academia Union crying renegotiation is this. The union has been asking government to return back to a renegotiating table so that we can talk about the way the university is administered. Then we can raise some new issues. Because what is permanent is a change. We must, from time to time, change. The society is advancing. Our universities may not be advancing because of lack of infrastructural and whatever development. And so, is the minister, for instance, that regulates, or is the government that regulates the universities? Through the Federal Ministry of Education, via NUC, and then to the university administrators. So now, what are we talking about? Have they not seen that people, a long time ago, people went to the moon now? Very, very long time ago. Where have we been able to get to even space at all from this country? Many of the things that we use domestically, where are they? Are they produced by us? Somebody said, we eat more of pounded yam, but the machines to make pounded yam comes from outside the shores of this country. and so on. So when are we going to get it actually started? We in the universities have been crying since. If for any society is to develop, you must develop higher education. Now, the universities are called ivory tower. That is because the society looks up to it. The direction the society is supposed to go is supposed to flow from there. But let me shock you that there is no relationship between the government and the university.
Why is that?
Apart from just wage, they send you wage, so appropriate it the way you like. One of the cries of the ASU as a union is that you must come to audit the university, even for the money you have sent to the university.
Come look at the books.
Yes, come and audit it. We're not even talking about anything. But then you find here, people have moved. We produce sugar cane around us. From sugar cane, you make sugar. But nobody outside this climb eats white sugar anymore. But it's just not what is our people pump into their system. The university, for instance, is supposed to teach the average farmer how to squeeze out, sugarcane juice and then fry it on a pan and get brown sugar, which is the edible sugar. It's so simple. But do they know? I've said on this media before that in the past, people eat the solid part of palm oil. They say that it will last longer and all that is better for them, it's cheaper. And we said that is not healthy. The real palm oil is the red part. Until that was taught in the university, people didn't know. It is the university actually that is supposed to direct the society. The government from year in, year out are supposed to come to tell the university in the next 6 months or thereabout, this is your development plan. You must, in electrical electronics, be able to develop how we can harness our sunshine here to generate electricity. And so many other opportunities that we have around us. But the government, you are the one, you are funding the university in terms of salary or whatever, but then you've left them loose. So it's frustrating actually. I don't know what to really say here.
Okay, let me allow you catch your breath and maybe allow your emotions simmer down a little. Let me come to you now, Felix. You look at the university system today, people talk about debt of funding for universities. You don't have enough money to fund universities. I've even heard notable academics talk about how that's, generally speaking, Nigerian universities are research deficient. I don't know how much of that opinion you share.
Okay, let's drive this discourse further. Funding is critical to research. Right. And progress in society in developed societies, is a function of research and development. Well, what essentially is research? You take an issue, you look at it, you go back and look at it again. So you are searching again for what has been developed. So you research. You go back and forth, you look for answers and questions that are related, then you come out with a position. And by the time you test it very well, the hypothesis is now proven valid. It cannot be applied on a universal scale. So it becomes a theory or an experiment that has been conducted that becomes a successful product. That is the hallmark of academic research. In our part of this world, we see universities as teaching institutions primarily, also as a place of employment. That is how it is now being managed. That is not the original construction. University is a place for universal knowledge. You bring problems, we'll sit down, we'll look at it, we'll generate answers, and the answers are tested and become applicable. And to do all this, you need to be taken back away from the hustle and bustle of society. That's why universities are centers of research, teaching, excellence. Universities also are built like communities of its own. You see, they have everything inside. The living quarters, the lecture centers, the students' quarters, the refreshment areas, the recreational areas. It's a community. It is usually separated from the majority of society. That's why it's laid back. If you look at the standard size of university, it's a large expanse.
Vast.
It has everything inside. And another thing university does for you, which most people do not know, is that university tames your mind as a person. When you enter the environment, first of all, you are calm. It will calm you down. You are not hearing all this droning and noisy. You know, we have metal park mentality in this country. Everything is about noise, noise, noise. No. When you get to university, the structure alone, the massive buildings you will see, you would realize that you are just a bit, an aspect of humanity. It will tame you. You will calm down. You begin to reflect. Because if you do not reflect, you cannot construct. If you do not construct, you cannot create. So the university does all this. And to do all this successfully, I took you back just now to Greek society, the era when we were teaching, when I was teaching political thought. I explained this to my students, that the man that has to reflect should not be bothered about picking pin, picking this. No. You should set back yourself a bit. That is why sometimes you look at the skyline, you say, how come the trees are not touching the sky? What is holding this tree on this ground? You are thinking, as the community was walking, he said, an apple fell. He said, why did this apple fall? He threw it up again. It dropped. Now I said, okay. Gravity. He started walking on what became the law of gravity. Right. So it is natural phenomenon that propelled him, convinced him to look for something. This is why our universities are not doing well. Rather than put the money into that aspect, for universities actually created, you are spending money on recurrent. You are paying salaries. You are buying vehicles. Those are not the things universities actually need. In fact, the universities in Nigeria are inverted furnace. The actual area where you need money is the research area, where you have the students and the intellectuals that teach the students who will become the replacement of those intellectuals, because the students that we train in the university are the replacement and they are the future that will drive progress in this country. So once you remove that component, the university therefore becomes just another place where you employ people, they do the drudgery of daily existence, they go to work, they sign paper, they go home. So that part is where we're like, even when some people do work or groundbreaking research, it ends up in the shelf. The government doesn't really listen to those things. The only one I know they have managed to use that time was this option A4 by Professor Onfriwosu. It was a political scientist that constructed this argument. Let us try this. And it worked for the election. But today, are we even using it? We have abandoned it again. We have this impatience. We value what comes from outside. Meanwhile, most of these solutions are within us here. How can a Japanese man who does not eat pounded yam invent yam panda? It's not possible. Somebody here must have had the idea and taken it outside, because here there was no encouragement for that research to be carried out. Do Japanese people eat pounded yam? Do they even farm yam in Japan?
Maybe we can make that a research
No, it's
issue.
already a research. It was an issue.
It was
developed here.
University of Ife.
That's what we are saying. Somebody took it away from it, because here there was no patronage.
No, I mean the part where you ask whether the Japanese man eats part of the yam.
They don't have the land to even farm yam. They don't have the land.
Okay, I said that on the lighter note.
I know. What I'm pointing at is that this is how we lose our research initiative. Many Nigerians are working outside this country. Many Nigerians are doing groundbreaking research outside this country. Why are they successful outside this country? Why are Nigerian doctors in demand all over the world? Why are we very important when we live here? Why are we so unimportant within our country? Because here, our country is not knowledge-driven. The only part of knowledge that we are excited about today in Nigeria is social media. Even that one, we don't control anything. We are just buying data, loading our phones. These things are controlled from outside.
Okay, we need to talk a little more about control. Incidentally, we are time limited. Obayiwana, you are a product of the university system, obviously. A lot of persons are now arguing that the proliferation of private universities should give us some concern, because it will appear they are doing way better than the public institutions. And then that leaves a question mark on sincerity of purpose on the part of government in terms of commitment to seeing that these universities are not only well-funded, but are supported in every way possible. When you look back today, for example, given your background as a lawyer, do you see much of disparity between when you were an undergraduate and what we have today within the universities?
Well, it's quite unfortunate. It appears that the value, has dropped drastically. We find somewhere now students no longer have serious interest. Okay. Even in studies, acquiring knowledge. They believe that it's a wasted effort. As far as they are concerned, they want to hit it, make it fast, and they don't think it's true education. Where you find people who are not, who never went to the foremost university celebrating 1 billion naira in their account, and others are driving flashing cars and the rest of it. So they want to come out and make it. They believe it's from politics, whichever way we could get some pieces together. For those who are even intellectually minded, you find those who graduate, maybe with first class, honors and the rest of it, and then government want to, or any facilitator, they want to appreciate them. You find them giving them 100,000 naira, some at most maybe 50,000, maybe 200,000. For those who will do the Big Brother, like that they call it.
Yeah.
60 million.
Yeah, and they get 60 million. So what do they do there? You go there, you start naked, do whatever they ask to do. And at the end, they are celebrated. The man who has gone to school, or the lady who has gone to school, has studied so hard, acquired knowledge that could be used to drive the society further. And they are not being appreciated. So they need to look at it. Is it really worth it? Why don't I just go into these other ventures and make some money for myself? After all,
go to the same market.
Making the work go around, and you all go to the same market.
Right.
So the point being made here is that government should place value on education, to celebrate, scholars or scholarship, and ensure that things are done the way it ought to be. Like I said, when our people leave this country, they always shine, they always excel academically in the legal profession. And like the university, like I said, it's a microcosm of the legal society. Everything you find out there, you find it there. We have the student union government, we have the parliament, and all of that, we have General Assembly. All of those things is what we find in the larger society. But you find out that the politicians are also coming to that point to bastardize even the so-called SUG. You talk about earlier students, people protesting, in support of the rule of law, ensuring that someone others are released. You now find out that's organized protesters who are saying, no, don't.
Like a counter-protest.
Exactly, as far as they are concerned, so much infrastructure. Even while we were back in school, remember then when Abacha wanted to continue, to modify itself into a civilian president. And then you find some youth body, they call it YEA. When Ghanaian and the rest of people were organizing protests in Lagos, saying that this thing must not hold, then you find some other youths organizing, joining the protests in Abuja, calling YEA, they call it Youth Earnestly Ask for Abacha. So the politicians entered the university environment, corrupted them with money and all of those things, took their mind away from academics and the scholarship, what they came to do, into some other ephemeral issues, and at the end, the value of the academic value have been reducing. You find lecturers now who are interested in just buying grades. So you have done your exam, you go home and then score every calendar according to the performance. You find that you didn't do well, you're not going to see me, you didn't do well. They made that blanket statement. People are going to go and knock on the door of the lecturer because he said they don't do well. What do I have to do now to do well? And then you bring their blind envelopes, and then grades are being marked. Those who cannot even bring blind envelopes, they give their bodies and all of that. So if you look at it from all angles, both the government, the students themselves, the lecturers themselves, we are all guilty. Government must fund the educational system. The way they put money into their recurrent expenditures, paying salaries to those who are senators, who were formerly governors, and all of that, receiving double salaries and all of that. They should put so much investment into academics to ensure, like I want to salute the Belgian University, for example, who have been going to vocational studies, to ensure that those who actually come to study any particular course of study in the university, you must do one or two vocational studies in such a way that when you leave the university system, before you start looking for employment out there,
you're already useful to yourself and society.
So you have acquired some knowledge. So
right.
That kind of knowledge is what the government university should introduce. If you have those in the mechanical department or the electrical department, should develop a research and bring out a program to see how you can help the society. How can you generate more power supply? How come we are living in a country where we don't have electricity supply? With so much heat, so much wind energy, so much thermal energy, and all of that, you cannot generate them to electricity. What is going on? So can you not have people in the electrical department to develop this scheme and then maybe use the university environment as a test case? Let us cut them to national grid, develop your electricity power and see how it works. The same thing for mechanical engineering. You have mechanical engineers who cannot even change engines, who cannot even change pistons, who don't know how it runs. But you find the roadside mechanics who can get it done.
Who probably do not even have school living certificates.
Talking about yam powder a few minutes ago, there are some artisans who can actually produce yam powder. Brighton engineering is, Brighton of the money is out there now who studied pharmacy,
medicine.
Dentistry.
Right. And then I'm going to production.
Yes.
Which are just
so we can take a cue from all of this.
So unless all of this
robotic engineering.
And they put them into a particular department, university, and ensure that theories are being developed and then practical of it is being brought into actually drive society. So when there's no funding, this research cannot be done. Simoto is there, doing his own
in the automobile industry.
And nothing is being done in order to encourage it. You still buy vehicles from abroad, you still import vehicles. Why can we not ensure that drive a policy to ensure that every Nigerian is driving Innosi motor in such a way that that vehicle, that Nigerian made vehicle, are now being improved upon as they go by. Do we even have a mobile phone industry? Do we make anyone in this country? Don't we have people who can fix them? Artisans or maybe university or whatever it is, but they are not being encouraged. So why can't the government not put a pool of resources in the university system to ensure that beyond the theorizing, let the practical of it be done?
Okay. You're making a powerful point. I'm going to give these gentlemen 1 minute each to wrap it up. He just made reference to an obviously privately owned university. That's Benedict University of Canada.
Yeah.
There's what that school has been doing for a while now, trying to create, as it were, a convergence between the academia and industry.
Yeah.
Can we not replicate such initiatives within public universities in this country? And then also ensure, very importantly, that there is some cordial relationship between the academics and the government, because it will appear ASU, for example, where you are proudly represented, it's always on the warpath with government, especially where the issue of the 2009 agreement is talked about.
Yeah.
So how do we get to run circles around all of these challenges?
One of your staff had just demanded for one of my products.
Okay.
Here, even this morning.
Yes.
I will get back to the car now to go.
And make supply.
Yes, to him. I am doing that. I'm in the public university. I'm in chemistry and all that. But he made one very valid statement here this morning, that Osareme. He said that government must understand that the society is knowledge-driven. Until we decide that. In the past, we used to have 20 years development plan. Year 2020, everything will be available. 7 years development plan and all that. Are we hearing anymore? No more. And all that. So we must understand that until you drive knowledge, you can't drive the society. Everywhere, something, I was teaching my children that for anything that happens anywhere, there's a mechanism of action. You must study the mechanism. How can this thing move forward? It must be through knowledge. So the government must return back, because if they bring in money without requisite ideas also, there must be the regulatory agencies must now be expanded to also design ideas that must be captured within a specified time.
I think essentially that's the much you can allow time for you. 1 minute, Sarime.
Okay. Briefly, knowledge is power. University of Benin logo, our motto is knowledge for service.
Right.
University of Benin, we have the Center for Technology Development. It's been there. We have this point that he made just now about the university. It's University of Benin, where you are taught a vocation. The only thing that is missing there is that we have not gone fully practical. Now, that is not going to be an oversight. We will get there. But we have been even making some overtures to the Center for Technology Development. But critically, you cannot give what you do not have. Knowledge is not lacking in the university system. It is harnessing it properly and utilizing it.
That is the challenge.
That's our biggest challenge, because in developed countries, once there's any problem, the first place the government looks to is their university system. And I have taught European history for a while, and I've also taught my students that the greatest changes that happened in Europe, that made Europe so powerful in the world today, came from the university system. Exactly. We cannot run away from that reality.
Wonderful point made already,
gentlemen. We are not going to get it right.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of these points that have been advanced on the show. I want to thank especially Matthias Obayiwan, our legal practitioner, and next to him, Felix Osareme, as a lecturer at the Department of International Studies and Diplomacy, University of Benin. Also, we have had Professor Julius Iyasele, immediate past chairman of ASU Uniben chapter and senior lecturer, Department of Chemistry. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. Once again, Merry Christmas, even though you didn't bring hampers on the show.